Donald wanted something all his own. Not just a business, but a name. On buildings, everywhere. Since childhood, he gazed at Manhattan's skyline thinking, why not Trump Tower? But towers don't sprout from thin air. To build something monumental, you first need a foundation. And that foundation was the Commodore Hotel. In the mid-1970s, the Commodore Hotel was not a glamorous landmark. It was the ghost of a bygone era. A dusty behemoth by Grand Central where carpets sagged and the stale stench of coffee and ammonia filled the corridors. New York City was drowning in debt, crime, and despair. And right in the midst of that urban decay, Donald saw opportunity. Like a master illusionist, he breathed life into the decrepit hotel with capital, hype, and a bold vision. First, he convinced Hyatt to invest in renovation. Then he secured jaw-dropping tax breaks, 40 years without paying taxes. Next, he sold the hotel to a city agency for $1, only to lease it back for 99 years. And he did all this while putting in almost none of his own money. It was a brilliant move. This was how the Grand Hyatt was born. A shining, modern marvel with mirrored surfaces and populated by the lifestyle he was selling. Not just luxurious rooms. He became a star. Media applauded. He applauded himself. But it wasn't enough. The Grand Hyatt was a triumph, but not a legend. It whispered his name. And Donald didn't do whispers. He wanted the world to shout. That's where the dream truly began. The tower, the symbol, Trump Tower. Donald identified the perfect spot quickly, on Fifth Avenue, the site of the legendary Bonwit teller. A boutique dripping with history, relief sculptures, and old New York charm. But to Trump, it was just a plot of dirt in fancy clothes. Heritage, legacy, please. Anything that didn't glitter gold was dismissed as outdated junk. He negotiated the land deal, snagged air rights from Tiffany's, and got approval to build 58 stories of mixed use, luxury condos, offices, retail, and a grand atrium waterfall. People joked he'd sell his soul for those extra floors. Honestly, he probably would have. When Demolition began, Trump made a grand promise to preserve Bonwit teller's Art Deco sculptures and donate them to the Metropolitan Museum. That was his token gesture to history. 1 week later, those sculptures lay in a concrete dumpster, cut apart with acetylene torches. Promises? Please. Who keeps track of those? The irony is deep. The Tower of the Future was built by yesterday's workers, Polish immigrants, many undocumented. They were hired through subcontractors, paid pennies, wore no helmets or safety gear. They slept on site, ate noodles from bags, and worked 16-hour days. One later recalled, "Trump Tower was built on our bones and the mob's concrete." Yes, the concrete came from the mob. The infamous Concrete Club ruled New York's cement world, run by union boss John Cody and mobster Anthony Fat Tony Salerno. If you wanted concrete, you had to go through them. Trump didn't ask questions. He showed up with a suitcase and said, "Let's build." The unions tried to intervene, to halt work. But they didn't know Trump played for keeps. He knew who to call, how much it cost, who to bribe. If the concrete stopped, he'd open a bottle of whiskey and offer someone a penthouse apartment on the 43rd floor. But even the mob couldn't contain the uprising sparked by the Polish Brigade. The workers fought back. They sued. One named Dabrowski took the story all the way to Congress. Trump claimed he didn't know. Of course not. He was completely unaware of who was tiling his penthouse floor. But the payment checks? Signed personally by him. Oops. The court drama dragged on for 16 years, noisy, costly, and ultimately a raw deal for the workers. In the end, Trump quietly paid a settlement. Lawyers got rich. Workers got crumbs. He walked away with a fresh article calling him a billionaire bargain king. Still, In 1983, Trump Tower opened. It was gorgeous. Pink Brescian marble, a waterfall cascading through the atrium, boutiques like Louis Vuitton and Gucci, and above it all, gold letters spelling Trump. People lined up to buy condos with Central Park views. Sophia Loren, Michael Jackson, Steven Spielberg all moved in. The residence list read like an invitation to Olympus. Trump himself moved into the penthouse, a Rococo palazzo in the sky. Gold leaf angels, Corinthian columns, and ornate molding. This wasn't just a residence, it was Trump on steroids. He turned the tower into his reflection. Luxury, ambition, narcissism, grandeur. Trump Tower became his calling card. No one asked, "Who is Donald Trump?" They asked, "Have you seen his tower?" It was a symbol, a myth, and the beginning of an empire he would eventually try to run as a country. Donald never settled for mere success. He went for everything. Like this story? Make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and drop a comment sharing your thoughts on the tower or any crazy legend you'd like us to cover next. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.